War and Peace, a timeless masterpiece by Leo Tolstoy. The brand of the book. War and Peace is one of the greatest works in the history of literature. With over 36 million copies sold, the book has firmly established itself as a symbol of culture and philosophy. It takes readers on a journey not only to explore 19th century Russian society, but also to explore themselves through intertwined stories of love, war, and life philosophy. Book summary. War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy is not merely a novel. It is a journey into the human soul, where love, war, and the desire to live merge into a timeless philosophy. The book consists of 4 main volumes and 2 appendices. Tolstoy skillfully paints a picture of Russian society during the Napoleonic era, interweaving major historical events with the personal stories of each character. From lavish noble parties to the brutal battlefields of Napoleon, from the pain of loss to enlightenment, the work leads readers to explore a fundamental question: what is life for? Part 1, Beginnings in Russian Society, a reflection of society and the human psyche. The opening scene of War and Peace takes place at an extravagant party in the home of Anna Pavlovna, where the main characters are introduced through conversations and scrutinizing glances. This setting is not just a display of the opulence of early 19th century Russian aristocracy, but also serves as the foundation for Tolstoy to expose the emptiness and contradictions hidden deep within each character. Pierre Bezukhov, a soul lost in his own world. Pierre Bezukhov, the illegitimate son of Count Kirill Bezukhov, unexpectedly becomes the heir to a vast fortune after his father's death. However, instead of feeling joy, Pierre finds himself adrift in the lavish and superficial world of the nobility. He does not belong to this world, one where people are judged by their reputation, wealth, and power. Tolstoy depicts Pierre as a confused soul, drawn into meaningless revelries. He attempts to integrate by attending parties and private gatherings, but this only leaves him feeling emptier. Questions about the purpose of life begin to haunt Pierre. What is the point of wealth and power if they do not bring meaning? This is a question that not only Pierre, but anyone who has ever felt lost must confront. Pierre represents those who live in a materially abundant world, yet yearn for true meaning. His journey in this part of the story is not one of seeking success, but an internal struggle, a beginning of the long path to enlightenment that unfolds throughout the work. Andrei Bolkonsky, Idealism in the Presence of Loneliness. In contrast to Pierre, Andrei Bolkonsky is a young nobleman with grand ambitions. He dreams of becoming a hero, leaving his mark on history. However, this idealism drives Andrei away from those around him, even from his pregnant wife, Lise. Tolstoy portrays Andrei as a man torn between family responsibility and personal desire. He finds no satisfaction in his married life, feeling stifled by Lisa's dependence on him, and longs to escape from what he calls small happiness. Andrei dreams of war as a place to assert himself, but he fails to realize that his profound loneliness stems from within himself. Through Andrei, Tolstoy conveys a humanistic message. Ambition, if not connected with love and compassion, becomes an inner prison. Andrei is not only lonely due to societal expectations, but also because of his rigidity in not allowing himself to live authentically with his emotions. Natasha Rostova, the light of innocence. Between these 2 male characters with tortured souls stands Natasha Rostova, a young, vibrant girl, the symbol of innocence and the desire for love. Natasha embodies the joy and energy of youth, always seeking beauty in life. She is the thread that connects the hearts of those who have been hardened by life's struggles, bringing hope to both Pierre and Andrei at different moments in their lives. However, Natasha is not just a simple symbol of optimism. Tolstoy presents her as someone on a journey of growth, encountering all the pain and mistakes that come with it. In the early part of the novel, Natasha retains the untouched beauty of youth, a sharp contrast to the complexity and suffering of Pierre and Andrei. Social setting, a contradictory system. Not only focusing on the characters, Tolstoy subtly portrays Russian society through seemingly mundane interactions. At social gatherings, the aristocrats exchange pleasantries, but beneath this surface are underlying calculations and quiet discontent. Tolstoy describes society as a grand stage, where each individual is bound by the role they must play. Pierre is the heir, Andrei is the ideal nobleman, Natasha is the young, dreamy girl. But under these facades, these individuals are struggling with themselves, trying to escape the confines of social norms and expectations. Philosophy, the meaning of life amidst contradictions. The first part of War and Peace raises an important question. Where can one find the meaning of life in a world filled with contradictions? Pierre, Andrei, and Natasha each represent different facets of this journey of searching. Tolstoy does not provide an immediate answer, instead allowing each character to endure suffering, and discover their own meaning. Application to readers. If you have ever felt lost like Pierre, remember that the meaning of life does not come from fitting in with society, but from understanding the values within yourself. If you carry ambitions like Andrei, ask yourself, does this aspiration bring you joy, or is it merely a way to escape loneliness? If you are like Natasha, youthful and longing for love, cherish your innocence, but also be prepared to face the lessons of maturity. Human connection. Part 1 of War and Peace is Tolstoy's message that even in seemingly peaceful beginnings, humans cannot escape the great questions of life. Each character carries a part of ourselves, the sense of being lost, ambition, and the longing for love. Only by confronting these contradictions can they begin their journey to find true peace within their souls. Part 2, War, the confrontation with fate. In the second part of War and Peace, Tolstoy leads the reader out of the lavish parties of the Russian aristocracy and into the brutal reality of Napoleon's wars. The vast scenes of battles, such as the Battle of Austerlitz, not only depict the savagery of war, but also serve as a testing ground for the ideals, beliefs, and inner turmoil of the main characters. War, in Tolstoy's pen, is not just an armed conflict, but a symbol of the chaos within both humanity and society. Andrei Bolkonsky, Idealism and Disillusionment. Andrei Bolkonsky enters the war with a desire to shine. He dreams of becoming a hero who leaves a mark in history, but the battle at Austerlitz quickly shatters that ideal. In a particularly poignant scene, Andrei is gravely wounded while attempting to charge into battle carrying the flag. As he lies on the ground, gazing up at the vast sky, he feels the insignificance of himself and the futility of personal ambition. The sky is so vast, so clear and peaceful, nothing like the chaotic, trivial world I had lived in. This moment marks a turning point in Andrei's inner journey. He begins to abandon his grand ambitions and realizes that life is not measured by fame, but by the peace of the soul. Philosophy. Tolstoy conveys that grand ambitions, when disconnected from human meaning, become meaningless in the vastness of the universe. Bezukhov. The journey of an outsider. Pierre, initially an observer of the war, is unexpectedly swept into the flow of history. He witnesses the chaos of the battlefield and realizes that war is not about glorious victories, but about a place where humanity is stripped of its dignity. In a memorable moment, Pierre stands amidst the battlefield, seeing death all around, and wonders, why do humans slaughter each other for reasons that no one truly understands? For Pierre, war provides no answers, only deeper questions about the nature of humanity. Philosophy. Through Pierre, Tolstoy exposes the absurdity of war. It is not a tool for resolving conflicts, but a symbol of collective errors and failures in understanding. Napoleon and the absurdity of power. In this section, Tolstoy shifts his focus not only to the main characters, but also to the portrayal of Napoleon as a vivid example of the contradictions of power. Though hailed as a military genius, Napoleon in Tolstoy's writing emerges as a man caught in his own ambitions, unable to recognize his own smallness in the flow of history. Napoleon commands with confidence that he controls everything, but in reality, his victories and defeats are contingent on a multitude of factors beyond his control. Tolstoy emphasizes that history is not the product of a few great individuals, but the result of countless random factors and small decisions. Philosophy. True power does not lie in authority or victory, but in the ability to understand human helplessness in the face of the flow of history. The war context, a reflection of society. Tolstoy uses war as a vast stage to explore the nature of Russian society. Through the ordinary soldiers, we see resignation and courage in the face of adversity. Through the officers, we witness the calculating and cold-hearted ruthlessness. What is remarkable in Tolstoy's depiction is that he does not embellish or dramatize the war. Instead, he highlights its chaos and absurdity. Every victory comes at the cost of meaningless sacrifices, and every defeat is justified with vague reasons. The contrast between war and inner peace. Part 2 does not only focus on the external war, but also on the internal struggles of each character. Andrei grapples between ideals and reality. Pierre is torn by questions about human nature. The common soldiers strive to find meaning in the chaos. Tolstoy underscores that true peace cannot be achieved through violence or power, but through harmony with oneself and the world around. The poignant moments, such as Andrei gazing at the sky or Pierre helping an injured soldier, serve as proof of this message. The philosophy throughout meaning in chaos. Part 2 of War and Peace raises a profound question. Can humans find meaning in the chaos of war and history? Tolstoy does not offer a direct answer, but through the journeys of the characters, he reveals that meaning does not lie in victory or fame, but in small, human moments. For Andrei, meaning does not come from glory, but from accepting the fragile nature of life. For Pierre, meaning lies in maintaining compassion, even in the darkest circumstances. For society, meaning does not come from great individuals, but from the connections between people. Part 2 of War and Peace is not just a story about war. It is an invitation for us to reflect on the inner and societal conflicts in our own lives. If you've ever felt disillusioned by the world around you, full of injustice and chaos, look to Pierre and Andrei. They teach us that the meaning of life is not found in changing the whole world, but in how we treat ourselves and those around us. If you carry great ambitions, ask yourself whether they bring happiness or if they are simply an escape from the present pain. Conclusion of Part 2. Part 2 of the work concludes with an important message. War is not the arena where people find meaning, but a lesson in realizing that true peace lies within one's own soul. Tolstoy does not simply tell a story, but challenges the reader to reflect on themselves. Where are we seeking the meaning of life, and what are we doing to bring peace to ourselves? Part 3, Love, Loss, and the Journey of Rebirth, the bridge between literature and life. In War and Peace, Part 3 focuses on the themes of love, loss, and personal growth through suffering. However, when viewed from a real-world perspective, Tolstoy not only tells the story of characters like Natasha, Andrei, and Pierre, but also reflects universal human experiences, the pain in love, the sorrow of failure, and the will to overcome. Stepping away from the specific plot points, let's consider how the lessons in this part illuminate real life, where everyone can see themselves through the pages. Love, the beginning, and the wounding. Love in Tolstoy's work is never perfect, just as it is in real life. Characters like Natasha Rostova and Andrei Bolkonsky represent the idealization of love in its early stages, but reality always brings shocks that force each person to confront their own limitations. In life, love often begins like a dream, but it is also love that can wound us the most deeply. Psychological research indicates that 85% of those who have experienced a heartbreak feel as if they've lost part of themselves. Natasha in the novel is no different. When she betrays Andrei in a moment of weakness, not only does Andrei suffer, but she too is crushed by guilt and shame. Practical lesson. Love is not just about receiving emotional satisfaction, but also about learning to face the fragility of oneself. Every mistake, every hurt is an opportunity for growth, as long as we don't abandon the effort to reflect and improve ourselves. Loss, an inevitable part of life. Tolstoy's work emphasizes that loss is not a failure, but an unavoidable part of the human journey. Andrei Bolkonsky, after being betrayed, chooses to turn away from love and focus on war as an escape. But ultimately, the pain of loss comes not just from others, but from the unrealistic expectations he placed on life and himself. In real life, many people have felt crushed by failure, losing a relationship, a career opportunity, or even failing to meet personal expectations. However, psychologists affirm that how we confront loss is what determines our ability to recover. Practical lesson. The pain of loss is part of the life journey. It does not define who you are, but it offers an opportunity to look deeper into yourself and the true values of life. The Rebirth Journey, Finding Meaning Through Compassion. Pierre Bezukhov is a vivid example of a rebirth journey through compassion. When he witnesses Natasha's suffering, Pierre does not merely sympathize, but actively helps her through her crisis. These acts of kindness give Pierre's life new meaning and help him overcome his feelings of isolation. In real life, studies show that compassion and helping others can have a tremendous positive effect on mental health. People who frequently engage in community activities, assist others, or simply offer empathy tend to experience higher levels of happiness and a greater sense of purpose. Practical lesson: when faced with emptiness or loss, providing value to others can become a guiding light for your rebirth. No need for grand gestures. Sometimes a kind word or offering companionship during difficult times can change both lives. Growth through suffering, an unavoidable journey. Natasha Rostova, after going through mistakes and pain, gradually moves away from the innocence of youth to mature into a more profound and understanding woman. Tolstoy shows that maturity does not come from easy days, but from confronting and overcoming adversity. In real life, this mirrors each person's journey. We cannot learn to appreciate happiness if we have never experienced pain. Life challenges, from heartbreak to failure, are opportunities to strengthen mental resilience and develop character. Practical lesson: maturity is not about erasing mistakes, but about how we use those mistakes to grow and become a better version of ourselves. Connecting literature and reality, what Tolstoy is telling us. In the third part of War and Peace, Tolstoy does not just tell a story. He speaks to us, reminding us that love is imperfect, but it is where we find true meaning when we dare to face our wounds. Loss is not the enemy, but a teacher that teaches us to be stronger and understand ourselves. Rebirth does not need to come from great acts, but from kindness and genuine empathy between people. A call to reflect. Take a look back at your life. Are there loves that once hurt you, but also helped you grow? Are there losses that caused you pain, but also taught you important lessons? And are you missing the opportunity to rebirth yourself by offering hope to others? Tolstoy cleverly guides the reader beyond the layers of literature to confront real life. War and Peace is not just a story about 19th century Russia, but a mirror reflecting the crises and opportunities in each of our lives. Part 4: Peace, the Light of Enlightenment and the Lessons of the Whole Work. The final part of War and Peace is where Tolstoy leads the reader to a conclusion that is not loud but full of meaning. This is not just the closing of personal stories, but an invitation to reflect on the entire journey, from war, love, loss, to rebirth and peace. Tolstoy connects all the pieces, reminding us that peace is not a state but a spiritual journey where we learn to live with ourselves and the world around us. Peace in the characters' stories. Andrei Bolkonsky faces death not as a tragedy, but as a release. From his ambition to the bitterness of love, Andrei ultimately finds peace through accepting the fragile nature of life. On his deathbed, he feels an invisible connection to everything, realizing that love, though imperfect, is the source of life's meaning. Pierre Bezukhov, after a long journey of being lost, finds peace not in power or wealth, but in compassion. Through seemingly random experiences, such as meeting Platon Karateev, Pierre realizes that meaning lies in simplicity, where everyday acts of kindness have the power to bring happiness to both the giver and the receiver. Natasha Rostova overcomes the wounds of her first love and matures into a woman who understands the value of family and devotion. From a dreamy young girl, Natasha learns to love not through impulsive emotions, but through empathy and loyalty. Tolstoy doesn't just write about war, peace, or love. He writes about life, the complexity and the hidden lessons within it. Each part of War and Peace is a piece of the larger puzzle of human existence, where Tolstoy subtly embeds timeless philosophies of life. War and Inner Peace. The greatest battle isn't on the battlefield, but within each person's soul. Tolstoy reminds us that only when we face our fears, forgive ourselves and others, do we truly achieve peace. The meaning of love. Love in the novel is imperfect, but it is through the wounds and losses in love that people grow, gaining a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. The value of compassion. Tolstoy emphasizes that happiness does not lie in victories or distant goals, but in simple, kind actions. Like Pierre, we can find meaning in bringing joy to others. The power of acceptance. Through Andrei, Tolstoy shows that enlightenment comes not from control, but from accepting life's and human imperfection. The role of the individual in the flow of history. Tolstoy rejects the notion that history is determined by great men like Napoleon. Instead, he highlights the role of ordinary individuals, soldiers, mothers, farmers, in shaping the future. What remains after this literary masterpiece? Tolstoy leaves us with a message. Peace, whether internal or social, is not something distant. It is a journey that each person must undergo, where suffering is not something to avoid, but an opportunity for learning and growth. The stories in War and Peace aren't just confined to 19th century Russia. They resonate in our lives today. In a world full of conflict, both external and internal, Tolstoy reminds us that love is imperfect, but always the source of meaning. Loss and failure don't define who you are, but how you overcome them does. Compassion, no matter how small, has the power to change lives, both yours and others. Live with peace, love, and compassion. Ask yourself, are you at peace with yourself, or still torn by unrealistic expectations? Do you see the value in love, even when it brings pain? Are you bringing peace to others through compassion and kindness, or letting judgment keep you apart from them? Tolstoy didn't write War and Peace to tell a story about the past. He wrote to challenge us to live more authentically and deeply, to not just exist, but to create meaning through love, forgiveness, and action every day. Let these philosophies be the compass for your life. Peace is not a destination, but the way you live, loving and compassionate, day by day.